Thank you so much, Billy. I want to start just saying thank you, everybody, again for joining us this afternoon. This is our last community grant webinar. It has been a lot of efforts in the last weeks to support you in the application process. And just a little bit worried about this zero percentage or 25 percentage of applications completed. Just to remind you, as you have seen in Billy's introduction, that there is a lot of things to do, a lot of things to complete, and a lot of documents to add to your application. So don't wait until the last minute. And for sure, we are going to be here to support you as much as you need. But what are we going to do now is just review a little bit about the information that Billy has shared, but through the questions that we have collected from the round one last year application, and some of them that are again being repeated during this second round. So if we can go to the next slide. I think that one of the most important things we want to share with you all is that even if we are here to support you during the application process, we cannot comment on your project ideas. So Ocean will fund projects that aim to reduce multidimensional poverty in ways which contribute to the protection, restoration, and or benefit of the marine environment and its biodiversity. I think that it's so important for you to demonstrate how your project will support the poverty alleviation and marine conservation at the same level as an equilibrium. And for this round two, also, you know that we have been already saying during the last webinars that Ocean will be particularly interested in hearing from projects that place gender equality, disability, and social inclusion at their heart. So as far as your projects demonstrate and focus all these aspects, your project could be and could go to the next stage. But we cannot recommend you as the ideas or the activities. We just can recommend you to make sure that you carefully review all the guidance that we have prepared for you all, and also review the webinars, because in all the webinars there are the most important information that you need to take advantage of all the effort you are doing your application. And most of the time, just have a look on these requirements that we are having sharing. So to at least be sure that you can go to the next stage. So say that, we can go to the next slide. And I think that, Sarah, you can open some of the windows will be on this slide, please. Thank you. So this is our advice. If you are not sure about your idea, activities, maybe you can have a look on the projects that we have found from the first round, and then you will see what kind of ideas and projects we are interested in. And some of them are focused on co-management, habitat restoration, ecotourism. Some others are more focused on empowerment of coastal communities. Others are focused on empower fisher alliance or sustainable habitat and natural ecosystem transformation. So there's a lot of topics, but all of them, you will realize that all of them integrate this idea of poverty alleviation and marine conservation. So all this information is in our website. You will find a tab called projects, and there is a list and some summarize about all the projects that are running this year. And I think that could, if you are still having doubts if your project could fit or not in Ocean grants, just have a look on that, and maybe that will be helpful for you. Let's go to the next slide, please. So here are some of the questions we have received last year and this year. And for example, can I apply for both the community and the partnership grants? So I think that you can apply for both, but the most important is to be sure that you are meeting all the eligible criteria. So the most important is to compare if your organizations met the criteria that are required for the community grant, and the same for the partnership grant. Then our project is based in an upper middle income country. Can we apply? Yes, you can apply. And if you go to the next stage, in stage two, you're going to be asked about what is the value of your project in your upper middle income country. So just keep in mind that you will need to complete that in case you go to the second stage and demonstrate that your project is going to have a real impact on that countries. In what language can we submit our application forms? This is easy. I think you have already seen in the FlexiGrant that you can submit your application in Spanish, French, Portuguese, English, and Indonesian. All the documents to support you has been translated, so you can use them. And the application forms are also being translated in the FlexiGrant platform. Then we also receive questions about the terrestrial or freshwater projects activities eligible to apply or not. And we want to highlight that the Ocean Grant is focused on coastal communities, coastal countries. So we are just focused on marine ecosystems and, as I say, coastal countries. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, this is a question very common also. Sometimes appear that organizations that are thinking about how to support other organizations, other partners in the local and in the region. So sub-granting as offering a new grant for other organizations that are not described on the application form are not allowed. So you cannot apply for a grant to then distribute it to another organizations without mention that in your application. What is possible is that you have different partners, and this grant is going to be used to also fund all these partners to implement the project with you. So it's different to sub-granting than collaborate with downstream delivery partners. So in that second case, their involvement should be implemented in the form of a partnership to ensure the transparency of this partnership structure. And I don't know if maybe Billy or Valentina want to add something, because I know that could be a little bit difficult to understand sometimes. It's okay? Okay. So anyway, if you have any question about that or some of the questions we are watching today, just share your questions in the Q&A section you have it's a button at the down in your window. So the Q&A section is going to be answered at the end of our presentation. So Valentina is here to help and answer all your questions. And yeah, let's continue to the next slide. Okay, so here is a list of all the documents that you will hear about reading the guidance, but not all of them are required in the stage one. So it's important to be very clear about what are the documents that you will need and ensure that you can add all these documents to your application. So the documents required are the complete application form, for sure. It's everything on the FlexiGrant, so you will complete all the application in your FlexiGrant. You will see the percentage of your application completed, and even if you have the 100% of the application completed, you still need to submit your application. So don't forget to do that on time. Then there is a project theory of change that is required in this stage one. You have the template on the FlexiGrant, and you will need this the signature that Billy has been said that required a scan of a real and not type signature. So don't upload the QR code. Then you have to upload also the legal status of your lead application. Is required the certificate of your organization. And for applications that are below £100,000, this can be replaced by a letter of support from host governments, British Embassy, or High Commission. This is only for projects that are submitting an application for less than 100,000. Then we also require the lead organization's financial annual reports and accounts. We are going to see it a little bit later, but it's required upload of financial accounts covering the last 2 year financial years. For projects over 100,000, this must be either audited or independently examined accounts. So those are all the documents that are required, but all of them there is not complexity, but there are some rules to that document to be approved when we are reviewing all the applications. So please be sure that your documents are clear as the rules that we are sharing with you. And then we have a list of documents that are not required. And I'm just going, as we are going to share the slides with you, and the video is going to be also uploaded to our YouTube channel. You can check the list later in case you have any questions, but just the project work plan, the project budget, the log frame, the risk framework, and most others are not required for this stage 1. Maybe in stage 2, probably most of them are required, but you don't have to worry about them now. So maybe we can go to the next slide, please. So here we have the legal status of the organization, and it's important to share with us. And as I said before, in case that your project is asking for less than 100,000 pounds, then the registration certificate can be replaced by a letter of support from host government, British Embassy, or High Commission. Then, as I said, we also ask for the financial accounts. The financial accounts for the past 2 years is important. And the final records and reports prepared on an annual basis to provide a clear and transparent account of your organization's financial activities. So the most important for us is, if we can go to the next slide, please. So here is a very easy example that we are asking for financial accounts that, we are going to review a lot of financial accounts from all your applications from different countries in different languages. So try to make it as easier as possible for the team who is going to review that, and be clear and transparent, and how can we understand the set of financial statements. And just having a look on the financial accounts, we should have an idea about the picture of your organization, financial health and operations. So try to find the documents that summarize and help us to see your financial accounts very clear. If we go to the next slide. The financial accounts for projects that apply to less than 100,000, they don't need this independent examination. But for the community grants, we are asking for this independent examination of accounts. That is a review of an organization's financial records by a qualified person who checks that the accounts are accurate, properly prepared, and complete with relevant laws and regulation. And it is less detailed than an audit. The audit is what we asked for the partnership grants application. That is a detailed check of an organization financial records by a trained person to make sure they are correct, follow the rules, and show the picture of the organization finance. So it's more completed than the independent examination, and this audit is not asked or required for this community grant stage. We can go to the next slide. And here are some of the common questions for the financial theme related to the application. So we are unable to provide 2 years of accounts. Are we still able to apply? So sorry, but no. The idea of one of the biggest requirements for applying to the grant is to being able to share these 2 years of accounts. These 2 years can be, and please, Billy and Valentina, if I made a mistake, just let me know. But I think it could be for the 22 and 23, because we understand that the 24 could be still being reviewed and finishing the financial year. But it's very
Yes,
important.
that's right.
So but it's very important to have these 2 years of registration that your organization has been receiving funding and using it for do the things that your organization do. And if you are not meet this requirement, I recommend don't do the effort, because you're not going to be eligible. And maybe you can just prepare everything for the next year round, where you will be, if you made it these 2 years, you can apply. Then how to calculate the average of our organization. So the average is just summarizing all the incomes that you have in your organization for the last 2 years and split in two. So then you will have the total of your average. And you have to use this average to calculate how much you can apply for the grant. So the annual maximum you can apply in the grant, it's going to be the 50% of this average of the last 2 years from your organization. So how much is the maximum budget I can apply for each year? For each year, this maximum will be the 50% of your 2 years annual income. In total, the total that you can apply for, it's going to be the number of years that your project will be working, but without exceed the 250,000 pounds that are able for this community grant. Then we have received questions similar about if we can purchase any equipment, fund, or construction works. I think it's very important to have a look on the financial guidance on that. And there is a list of things that you can use your grant for. And I think that the most important is how can you justify that you are using this grant for the different ways of the financial sections. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. So as has been said, the maximum is this 250,000. It doesn't mean that you can apply to all this amount. The most important thing is that your project annual budget must not exceed the 50% of average income of the 2 previous years of the financial accounts. So the lead organization annual income, as we say, is a total amount of money organization receive in a year from all the sources, including donation, grants, membership fees, fundraising activities, and other revenue generating activities. So you have to sum all these incomes, split in two, and then you will have the total for each year you can apply for. Again, if you have any questions about how to calculate the budget you can apply for, or some of these questions in the financial, I think we also have Rachel maybe with us, so she can respond everything at the end of the session. But in case we still need it, and also recommend you that during the last webinar, we made some examples about how to calculate this budget. So also you have the videos on YouTube. But let's have a very simple example in the next slide. I think it's, yes. So if your project request is for a total of 250,000, and you are asking for the first year 75,000, for the second year 125,000, and the third year is going to be 50,000, you have to use the biggest amount that you have in these years. So you will be assessed based on the largest annual value of 125,000. And that means that you need to demonstrate the double of that amount. So 250,000 in total. Let's go to the next slide, please. And here are some questions about eligible organizations that Billy has already mentioned it before. So if we are an university, can we apply? So research center and university can apply, but they should be independent from the government funding, because we cannot fund governmental or intergovernmental organizations, and even if they can be partners of the project, they cannot receive fund. So they cannot be a lead organization and they cannot receive fund. In the case of private sector organization, business and business association, for this round 2, yes, they can apply. And as it has been said, government agencies, intergovernmental organizations cannot apply for fund. They can be partners of the projects, but they cannot receive fund and they cannot be lead organizations. And now finally, we are the local office of an international NGOs and in-country organizations that are part of a federation of closely association with an NGO umbrella organization. Can we apply as the lead organization for community grants? So international NGOs that has a local office in the countries can apply, but we recommend, or we ask for, to have a local partner of another organization who is also working in the same country, and that is also some of the points that makes very important when the projects are reviewed by the expert committee, to understand very well how is the organizations connected with the local partners, and how is the role of these local organizations in the project. I think we can go to the next slide. Billy and Valentina, in case you want to say something, just raise your hand. We'll be happy to give you the floor if you want to complete some of the information. We also want to just clarify again about some of the concepts that people share their questions, because sometimes it's difficult to make the difference between the lead organization, the lead applicant, and the project leader. So the lead organization is the organization who will administer the grant, coordinate the delivery of the project, and accept the terms and conditions of the grant. So in case that you get the grant, the lead organization will be responsible for project delivery and budget management. Then you have the lead applicant, who is the person who leads on the development of the application and supporting materials, and will be the main project contact point during the application process. So the lead applicant should also be the person that signs and submits the application form. And finally, we have the project leader, and that will be the person who leads the implementation of the project and ensure that the project fulfills the terms and conditions of the grant. The project leader can be the same person as the lead applicant, and we have a preference for the project leader to be a staff on the lead organization. Again, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function you have in this window, and we will solve them in a minute. Let's go to the next slide, please. So also some of the concepts and terms that sometimes can be a little bit confused is the difference between a partner organization and a stakeholder. The partner organization, it's going to be the organization that has a formal governance role in the project and a formal relationship with the project that may involve staff costs and budget and management responsibilities. So it's going to be part of the project. We hope to see these partners organizations to work in the co-design and implementation of the projects as a part of the team. And then the stakeholder is an organization or an individual that does not have a budget management or a formal governance role within the project, but is consulted, engaged, and may participate in project activities. So it's going to be the stakeholder most of the time are focused on the beneficiaries of the projects, but they are not involved on the management of the project. Let's go to the next slide. So we have done a lot of emphasis in the last webinars about the JETSI ambition and commitment for this community grant round 2. And the ambition is to be at least a JETSI empowering program, and the commitment for all the projects to be or strive to be a JETSI empowering. So projects under the community grant must at minimum have a JETSI responsive approach. through the projects that are more ambitious by meeting or demonstrating a clear plan to meet the standard of JETSI empowering that will be prioritized. So you have the responsive that is addresses basic needs of and barriers for women, people with disability, and marginalized groups, aiming to reduce gender and social inequalities. This is when your project looks as responsive. But then we are looking and we want to ask you to see how you can bring your projects to the next level, to the empowering, and this is when your project reduces gender and social inequalities and empowers community members by reducing barriers and increases equitable access to assets, resource, and capacity for women, people with disabilities, and marginalized groups. So just again, when you develop your proposal, keep in mind what are we looking for this year and integrate these ideas to just check how your project could meet that ideas and how can your project do it better to support this empowering in JETSI commitment. Let's go to the next slide, please. So some other questions that we always receive. Where do I find a list of eligible countries? I think it looks very simple, and probably most of you already know that we have the list in the website for you to review if your country are eligible or not. The list is also in the FlexiGrant application at the very beginning, but we are still receiving, we can see some of the applications that are coming this year from countries that are not eligible. So please, maybe you are very sure that your country is part of this list, but just go to the list, check it, and be sure that you can apply to do your efforts to really have like deserve. So also there's another questions we are receiving because it's different from the last round. Should I contact the British Embassy or High Commission? So this year for round 2 is not a requirement for the stage 1. At the stage 2, you will need to contact with the British Embassy, but for now it's not needed. And people also write us in the help desk asking for the webinars. And as I have said, all of them are in the YouTube channel. And our comms team has been hardworking to just split them in a small videos, focus on some of the ideas we want to reinforce for you to support in your application process. So just go to the YouTube channel and have a look on them.